I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
This one's wife. She was snubbed, as she can't be trusted. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Harry had an interview on Good Morning America recently. He was interviewed by the son of Christopher Reeve, Will Reeve. But we're not going to focus on that interview, but instead on the fact that it was just Harry that was talking to Will Reeve. This one's wife was nowhere to be found. Why was that? Well, according to the Super Soaraway Sun and Sarah Grealish, this one's wife may have been told not to appear in Prince Harry's bombshell interview by her new PRs, a royal expert has claimed. The Duke of Sussex this morning appeared on Good Morning America, but there was no mention of his wife. Harry and this one's wife were in Vancouver to mark 12 months before Harry's Invictus Games 2025. They had been followed by ABC camera crews since touching down in Whistler, Vancouver. Harry revealed to host Will Reeve that he hopes King Charles's cancer diagnosis will heal his family's rift, and opened up on his dash back to the UK to see his dad. He also opened up on family life, giving a rare insight into Archie and Lilibet's personalities. However, despite the show promising an all-new interview with Prince Harry on his life with this one's wife, she was not mentioned during the chat. Royal expert Angela Levin believes this could have to do with her new PR company. She explained, "It's interesting. It's just about Harry. But I think it was her giving in to the fact that this is Harry's Invictus Games. But actually she was always there having her picture taken and looking glamorous, and that's what she cares about. I suspect that her PRs didn't want her to say anything that might change this vision of herself." Last year, the Duchess joined WME, which boasts A-listers Eddie Murphy, Gwen Stefani and Liam Payne on their books. Ms. Levin continued, "They don't mind if Harry gets it wrong. Her PRs aren't really Harry's, they're just this one's wife's. They don't really mind if Harry gets it wrong, and she wasn't the person who went to London to see the King. She wants to keep out of it, and if they said to her, 'This one's wife, have you changed your mind now? Do you feel you would enjoy going to London?' You know, she might give an answer that the PRs wouldn't want you to hear." Harry jetted back to the UK earlier this month after his father revealed he had been diagnosed with a type of cancer. He had flown thousands of miles from his California home to be at the King's side, but only met with his dad for 30 minutes. In Good Morning America, Harry said, "The fact I was able to get on a plane and see him, King Charles, and spend any time with him, I'm grateful for that." Asked if the King's illness could have a reunifying effect on the family, he added, "Yeah, sure. Through all these families I see on a day-to-day basis, the strength of the family unit coming together. Any illness, any sickness brings family together." Well, does it, Harry? What about the illness of your father-in-law? Has that caused you to find out how he is? Has it caused your wife to reunify with him and her two half-siblings? No, it hasn't. So your observation that all these families I see on a day-to-day basis, the strength of the family unit coming together, any illness, any sickness brings family together, it certainly doesn't, because it hasn't in relation to your wife. And we know why that is. She will have told you that her father has done something despicable, which is why she doesn't want anything to do with him. Rather than you apply any critical thinking, Mr. Ginge, you have just accepted and swallowed what she has to say. In part because you're not very bright, in part because of the fog of your emotional thinking, and also it's easier that way, because you've become conditioned to seek the easy route, the quiet life. There have been times when you fought back because of your strong narcissistic traits, But largely now, you are like a cowed individual. You're like the pussy-whipped simp that many people believed you to be, that you have been trained and conditioned just to bow your head, retreat, shut up, because it's easier that way. And similarly, you don't appear to have recognized the hypocrisy of what you're saying with regard to the reunification of families, and even if you have, you say do nothing about it, because it's just easier for you to do what your wife commands you to do, because you've learned that if you try and say something to the contrary, it just brings silent treatments, being shouted at, being triangulated, being insulted, etc. Here, this one's wife wasn't included in the interview. That will have irked her, because as we know, this one's wife believes that she has a very important message to share with the world as she baths up another fridge magnet platitude. Driven by her sense of entitlement and deluded narcissistic mindset, she believes that whatever she has to say is of monumental importance and should be shared. Therefore, she will have been eager to have been interviewed. She will have been eager to get on that platform because it would be driven by her narcissism to cause her to want that. Having a platform by being interviewed would enable her to control millions of people that were watching, to receive fuel by way of the relevant reactions, to cause there to be the management of her facade. And her narcissism would in effect be urging her, do it, do it, do it. Also, of course, to keep Harry under control as well. She hasn't been shy about doing joint interviews with him in the past. Witness, of course, the Oprah interview, the engagement interview, the nobody asked me if I was okay interview in Africa, amongst many others. Evidently, on this occasion, it's been made very clear to her that you ought not to speak because it could be problematic, that you need to let Harry talk about this because it's his family. And I should imagine that when it has been framed to her that it's Harry needing to talk about his family, she loses interest because it's not about her. Okay, he's going to talk about his family, is he? Then he can just do it. Because she has no interest in being kind about Charles, save for facade management. And where there is a suggestion that it would be better for her not to be involved, because he's going to be talking about subjects that don't interest her, her narcissism ultimately will then decide, you know what, this isn't really going to be about me, is it? It's going to be about Harry and Harry's family and the Invictus Games, which I want to call the This One's Wife Games. But seeing it's going to be about all of those things around Harry, then I'm not interested anymore. And thus her narcissism says, forget it, we're not going to be involved. You might think that she would fight to be involved, that she would want to be involved because of the advantages that come with it. But when it's framed to her in a particular way that it's about somebody else, her narcissism will then decide, actually, I'm not interested in doing it, because if it's not going to be about me wholesale, what's the point? And thus, she stays away from it. You see, if she really desperately wanted to do it, being the narcissist that she is, she would have kicked up such a stink that Harry would have persuaded the relevant people to allow her to do it also, that he would have said, well, if Megsy isn't involved, I'm not doing it either. Thus, having a little petulance drop himself. You can well imagine if she was insistent on being involved in the interview, she would be involved. And therefore, whilst it's entirely appropriate that she may well not have been trusted, she then was not involved because her narcissism decided there was nothing in it for her. If her narcissism thought that there was, she would have appeared in that interview because she would have pushed and pushed and pushed to be involved. And the fact that she didn't appear tells us that, in effect, her narcissism lost interest. And the most likely reason for that is that she was told that it was going to be all about Harry and Harry's interaction with his father, rather than it being about her. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.